Hey, this is Drew with Iron and Lime. If you're looking for rogue stainless steel bars, you're basically choosing between two tools that look very similar on paper. And that's exactly where most people get it wrong. Because the specs don't mean anything until you've trained with both. And then you feel how they push you in two different directions, and honestly, two different styles. I own both of these bars, the stainless steel Ohio bar and the stainless steel Ohio power bar. So I'm not just going to be reading you a spec sheet today. I'm going to be showing you what these specs actually do when you've got weight on the bar, you've got fatigue in your hands, and I've actually been using them for a while now, over a year for both, and I can tell you exactly how I feel about them. If you're wondering why I own both, just know poor financial decisions sometimes make for great YouTube videos, or at least informative ones. So let's get into it. All right, so let's talk about shaft diameter. So the Ohio bar has 28.5 millimeters and the power bar is 29 millimeters. Half a millimeter doesn't sound like much, it's not nothing.
And here size matters.
The Ohio bar is going to have more whip and you feel a little more spring in it when the bumpers hit the ground. Same as if you drop it onto the safeties of the straps. It just feels a little bit lighter and a little bit more movement. The power bar, of course, is a little stiffer. The weight feels more locked in place. When you do those RDLs or those deadlifts, you do feel more of a full stop, more of a sturdy drop, if you will. Anything with high reps, anything dynamic like cleans, if you do a lot of CrossFit, the Ohio bar is just going to feel a little more dynamic. So if you're grinding a heavy squat or a deadlift, the power bar gets you a little bit more static feel or stability. And that's really the first big fork in the road. One bar is kind of able to move with you, even if that includes dynamic movements, and one bar is built to truly be that stability piece. All right, when we talk about knurling, on the Ohio bar we have that signature multi-purpose knurl, and it doesn't have a coating, which really makes it comfortable. And on the power bar we have more of an aggressive volcano knurl. It's also raw, but this is where Rogue really makes the difference. I do think it's aggressive, but it's not too crazy. The Ohio bar knurl is built for volume, so if you're doing longer sessions, you're not going to shred your hands. Honestly though, the power bar knurl isn't truly that far out of that comfort zone either. It's about grip security, and once the bar is heavy enough, that combined with the size really makes this knurl kind of the perfect in-between. So I notice it more on deadlifts, right? The power bar, there's really no hesitation. I feel good on the grip, I can really get into it. The Ohio bar, I use it when I need a little bit more of a comfort for the passive knurl. To be honest though, neither of these bars are super aggressive. They're not going to tear your hands up. They're both great knurls. And that's one of the best parts about getting the stainless steel bars, is that you can get a good feel for the bar. And with no coating, it really does give you a good feel. If you can get your hands on each of them in the stainless steel variant and kind of see which one feels better to you, try to do that, because it's definitely a question of which one's more comfortable for you. When we talk about the center knurl, that's another big difference. The Ohio bar has no center knurl and the power bar has a center knurl. It's a small detail and you don't really need to think about it until you do. So the power bar's center knurl locks in your upper back. So it's going to give you that comfort on the squats. It doesn't move. It doesn't slide. The Ohio bar doesn't have it, and it skips it on purpose. This matters if you're doing things where you're bringing the bar up and you're going to have the bar right here, either doing front squats or cleans or high volume, right? Where that center knurl just could kind of get in the way. All right, so let's talk the specs comparison. So we're going to run the full spec sheet real quick. The Ohio bar, 28.5 millimeters. The power bar is 29. The Ohio bar is 20 kilos and 44 pounds, and the power bar is all American at 45 pounds. The tensile strength on both is 200,000 PSI. Crazy amount of goodness that you won't ever have to worry about it bending or anything like that. When we talk about knurl marks, the Ohio bar is going to have those dual knurl marks, Olympic and powerlifting. The power bar has a single powerlifting mark. So additionally, no center knurl as we talked about. The sleeve finish on both starts with chrome, but you can do stainless steel as an upgrade. It's $100 more on the Ohio bar and $70 more on the power bar. I did go ahead and do stainless steel on mine, as I plan to never get rid of either of these bars. When we talk bar length, the Ohio bar is about 1/4 of an inch longer than the power bar. The loadable sleeve length is a little more on the Ohio bar due to the differences in the sleeve. And on the F rating, the durability score that Rogue gives to its bars, the Ohio bar comes in an F100R. If you watch my past video, they literally couldn't get it to break in the testing. And then the power bar's at F10R. Both are more than enough to outlast anyone's lifting career. They'll probably outlive all of us, and your grandkids will be able to argue over who's going to get them. For bushings, both run bronze, and they're pretty tight. No movement at all. The warranty is also the same on both. So lifetime against construction and bending. And then both are made in the same factory. It's American steel in Columbus, Ohio. So on paper, that's basically it. It's the same tensile strength, same warranty, same factory. And the differences that actually matter are the diameter, the knurl, and having a center knurl or not having a center knurl. So we've already covered what they feel like. Let's move into pricing to see which one makes the most sense. So let's talk money, because that's part of the decision too. So Rogue lists the Ohio bar at $385 with chrome sleeves. $485 if you go full stainless, and I ended up paying $540 shipped for mine. So the power bar lists at $435 with chrome sleeves and $505 with full stainless. My ship total came out to $581.60. So real cost shipped, the power bar runs about $21 more than the Ohio bar. That's a small gap. In other words, if you are going to buy lunch one day, you could skip one day and make up the difference, right? The expensive part is convincing yourself that you only need one, which means this decision isn't really about price. It's about which bar actually matches how you train. They are $500 plus bars, so definitely something that you want to make sure you're going to use. Let's get into the owner test, right? So what I can tell you from having these bars and training on them every day, when I walk into my garage gym with no plan and I need to reach for a bar, it's typically the Ohio bar. Not because it's better, but more because it fits the type of lifting I actually do. So day to day, the choice changes, right? If I'm doing deadlifts or squats, or it's a heavy day like that, I'll use the power bar. But for a lot of landmine movements and dynamic movements, I will use the Ohio bar. So where each bar wins. The Ohio bar wins when your training is mixed. So you're doing Olympic style lifts, you want comfort, you want volume, you want a more passive knurl, and you want one bar that can do everything well without needing a second bar, right? The Ohio power bar wins when you squat, bench, deadlift, focus lifting, and you're chasing numbers, you load up a lot, you want max grip, and you'll trade versatility for it without blinking. If you don't do a lot of dynamic movements, this makes a lot of sense if you're just a power lifter. When we talk about the final verdict, right, here's the honest breakdown after owning both of them and using both of them. The Ohio bar is the better all-around training bar. The power bar is the better pure strength bar. If I could only keep one bar, I would keep the Ohio bar. Thankfully, I don't have to make that choice and I get to have both of them. If I were chasing a new squat or bench or deadlift PR, I would probably choose the power bar every time to train. So same quality tier, same manufacturer, you'll be happy with both, but they are built for two distinct jobs, even though they can do the others very well. So if you've trained on both, drop where you landed and which one you chose. And if you haven't, don't buy based on what sounds the best, buy based on how you actually train. And if you're unsure, buy the bar that can do both. With that, this is Drew with Iron and Lime. I hope this helps somebody that was maybe in between. As I said, I could not be happier with both of them, but if you can't swing both, go with the one that matches your training style. With that, strength for life, fitness for all. I'll see you next time.